Alrighty. Well, contrary to what the title said, title of the talk, not really robot overlords. Today we're just talking about Azure Cognitive Services, but I needed to trick a bigger audience into coming. So this is Azure Cognitive Services presented by me. I wanted to keep it generic in case someone else wanted to take over, but it didn't happen. So the goal for today, my one goal is that you the audience, feel confident that you could use this today. And that's it. Maybe entertain, I guess, would be the secondary goal, but that's the main goal. So please ask questions, interrupt, pop in, open dialogue. Awesome. Well, let's get started on probably the one of the first questions to answer is who is me? I am Clayton Gravatt. I am a data analyst here at Intellitek. I've been here for a couple of years. I primarily work on business intelligence stuff, so on the BI side and data analytics. But I'm also a certified Azure Data Scientist Associate, so I've played around with this stuff a bit, and I've gotten to work on some cool predictive risk modeling in insurance and financial tech, all cool stuff. So, questions so far? It's good. So Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services, probably good to understand what Azure is for those that don't know, or that might just want a little refresher. It's Microsoft's big cloud platform of more than 200 products and services. There's a lot to it. We'll be focusing on a small portion of it today. Under the AI and machine learning umbrella, there's another umbrella called Azure Cognitive Services. I'll see how many times I can say cognitive services throughout the presentation. So keep drilling in on these questions. What are cognitive services? It's a set of cloud-based artificial intelligence services available through REST APIs and client library SDKs. There's a few categories within that. We're just going to focus on a small bit today. I think I have you for about 45 minutes. So I'm hoping to touch on question answering and vision, but there's a lot more to it, more to explore afterwards. But I guess that's the end of the slideshow, so I guess we'll call it there. But let's hop into some examples here. So to get started, what is question answering? Any questions so far? Good, awesome. Okay. Perfect try. All right, so question answering, spew a lot of words at you. It provides a cloud-based natural language processing thing, probably missed a word there, natural language processing service that allows you to create a natural conversational layer over top of your data. So it's used to find the most appropriate answer for any input question from your custom knowledge base of information. So put simply, the goal is, as the name might imply, to take a question and then find the most correct answer that it can and then give that back to you at the other end. And so commonly this is used to build conversational client applications, so things like in social media, chatbots, speech-enabled desktop applications. But where might I use it? Let's say, hypothetically, that your company has this awesome product called IntelliWiki, and people tend to ask a lot of questions about that. And you want to automate some of the more frequent responses to it. So maybe you have a spot on your website where people can ask you questions. Maybe you have people sending you emails. And some of the questions you might be able to answer through an existing knowledge base. So an example here is we already have an FAQ page on our website, and we don't just want to redirect people like, go find the answer yourself. Maybe I want to be able to find the answer in this FAQ page to hand to users. So how might we do that? Well, there's a not so fun way. And in case no one else got the warning, this is part of that snake infestation they mentioned earlier. We got some Python instead of C#, but that's okay. So what this is doing is I have a dictionary or a hash table here called FAQ that just has a key value mapping. I've explicitly typed in some of the questions that you might find on this FAQ page. I look, all right, how do I install IntelliWiki? And I've copied and pasted some of the responses in. And so maybe I'm taking a user input in my application, and I'm passing it to this brilliant function that looks it up in the FAQ dictionary and spits back a response. And of course, it works every time. How do I install IntelliWiki? If people ask the exact right question, it does give back an answer. Now, what are some problems with this approach? Opening up to you, the audience. Is this flawless? We could stop there. But is there anything that could go wrong?
Word buy instead of purchase.
What if you use the word buy instead of purchase? That's an excellent answer.
Like,
Great question. What if you do use the word buy instead of purchase? This will get it wrong. This will throw an error. Actually, we can just try that. How do I buy IntelliWiki? Key error. I don't have that in my dictionary. So how could I solve that problem of someone asking this question instead of how do I purchase IntelliWiki? How do I buy it? Well, maybe I'm running telemetry on all the responses that come in. I'm collecting every exact response and I'm putting that into my dictionary as well. Not a great solution. Maybe some C# experts could talk to us about pattern matching, or maybe some regular expressions. Maybe that would be the solution here. If we added a couple more layers of complexity, we could add all the problems we want. Well, there might be a better answer. I think we need to fill this in. So what else could we do? Regular expressions. Or what you came here to see, we could leverage the power of AI. And I think the tagline for Azure Cognitive Services is something like AI at an API or something. Probably butchered that a bit. But the idea is that it's simple to use and easy to get to. So I've gone in advance and I've just created the resource within Azure. I just spun up a language services resource. And I've gone into manage the sources for it. And the idea on this language studio Q&A resource is that I can give it a body of text or any kind of input text, really, some sort of knowledge base. So in my case, it's that FAQ page, some existing knowledge base that has the questions and the answers that I'm looking for. And I want it to learn how to answer those questions, basically. And it really is as simple as adding a source, telling it a public-facing URL to get to, adding the URL and pasting it in. And I won't do it here because it takes a couple minutes to parse through, but trust me on that, it was not too tough. And what that does for me is it being this custom question answering service, is it has parsed out this HTML, which is still a pretty structured data source, so not terribly difficult, but still kind of cool, that it has found the questions on that page and it has matched them to answers for me. So I don't even have to copy and paste anymore. So that's a strong start. And now what can we do with this? So it has the question and answers for me. Maybe I paste that back into my key value pair dictionary, but maybe not. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy that knowledge base. And it's as simple as hitting deploy. And ignore that, I've already hit deploy before. But what that deploy button is going to do is it's going to spin up a resource for me, and it's going to give me an endpoint. So I don't have to do any other management of like the bot or infrastructure or anything. I just say deploy and then give me that URL. And that URL serves as an endpoint that I can post questions to, and it'll spit back some responses. So let's hop over and take a look at that. Again, we're Python. So I've given it the prediction URL, and this is secured with just a key that it gave me. There's a bunch of other ways you can authenticate with it. Azure AD, managed identity. There's a bunch. And then I'm giving it a body that I'm going to post to that endpoint. And in that body, I'm just going to give it my question. I'm going to tell it, give me the top one answer from that. And then here I'm showcasing the API portion of it. There's just a REST endpoint that I post to my prediction URL. I want to give it that body as a JSON. And unfortunately, I don't get to play with like the triple strings. I just dump the body in. And it's going to spit back a response to me. So, and I have it just parsing out the answer and printing it out for us. So let's ask it a question, something that we were trying earlier maybe. Let's hop back up to that FAQ. Start with something small, like how do I install IntelliWiki to see if it works? How do I install IntelliWiki? Does it work? Oh, it does. It spit back the response. Not too impressive. That's what a dictionary can do. Now, what if I, instead of how do I purchase, I ask, how do I buy IntelliWiki? So if you remember before, this threw an error. Nowhere have I told it that purchase means buy. I'm not maintaining a thesaurus, nothing. But still, it knows how to figure out the answer there. So it has a layer of semantic understanding, where instead of just taking the raw text, it converts that into some kind of meaning behind the scenes. It extracts the meaning from that and compares it against the meaning of the questions that I've given it and the answers that I've given it and matches those together.
You need to include a question mark. Was it bad into a specific syntax?
Well, let's ask. How do I buy? Does it work? What color is my dog? What if I give it something that it can't answer? I checked. What's that? Oh, not quite a ChatGPT level, but it does something.
Does it do they handle any like slight misspellings? So like, if you
It's a good question.
lie, you have to person the word five.
Not very well, it seems. Not in this case. Not in this small thing. Yeah. So, not quite. I'm sure it can get some typos right. It'll probably fall off a bit. Just close enough. So your mileage may vary to some extent.
Assume that this is English only.
You specify the language when you first spin up the resource. So I've explicitly told it that this is English that it should be looking for, but it's available in a myriad of languages, hundreds. Okay. I don't know if you can have multiple languages supported within the same endpoint. Maybe. I'm guessing you'll probably have to spin up multiple endpoints from that, one for each language, one for.
What do you would say that you get English and German questions coming in, for example?
Clear. Repeating the question, thank you. How would I deal with multiple languages coming in? That's something that I may move to the. There are a few ways to answer that. So there are other services provided by cognitive services, of course. There's a text translation service. And because these are simple enough that you can build on top of each other, if you had that as a use case where you need to accommodate multiple languages, I'd probably chain multiple together, where first translate it into English and then give it to this. Or if I can anticipate what languages are coming in, maybe handle the mapping that way. Excellent question.
Sure, be good. That I mean, it would only be as good as the data.
That's an excellent point. So perhaps the response layer, you have to keep track of what language it got translated into. I would think another way. Okay.
If this is German or Russian.
Yeah, exactly. And then, thank you. You could, yes. So the response there, someone else answering the question for me, thank you so much, was that you could detect the language first and then keep track of that and then spit back the right response based on your initial language detection. Excellent questions.
When you go about sending your further.
Mm-hmm. Excellent question. So the question was, how would I go about extending my original knowledge base? And luckily they make that pretty easy too. Let's hop over. So I'm back in my language studio, which is what lets me manage these sources. And I can either find another data source. So whether that's another URL. So maybe I want to look at, I'm doing a couple things at once here. So this is not quite as nicely structured, but here's another page on our website that maybe I want to look at data analytics. I can, of course, combine additional sources into that knowledge base. This is data page with the URL, and it's going to automatically detect the structure for me. And then, again, it takes a little bit for it to go and find it, but it will add that additional knowledge into my knowledge base. But if it's made a mistake, or maybe I want to manually add something, I can also just go in and manually edit my knowledge base, and maybe I want to change, maybe there's some additional questions that this is not quite picking up correctly. So how do I, and this is in the wrong spot, but maybe I want to manually add, how do I buy it? Or maybe there's something that it didn't quite parse out correctly, or maybe I want it to format the response a little bit differently. I can, I can add more to it and then submit those changes, and then it adds those, save changes.
Is there a way to programmatically get
Yep. The question is there a way to programmatically edit your knowledge base? Yes, there is. So there's just another endpoint that you can submit responses to, more key value pairs. You can query more things with it. You can add chit chat, so a little bit more of a natural language flow to it. And yeah, quite a bit. Let's see. So if I go back to my sources now, we can see that the data analytics page has showed up. So let's see. Maybe there's something interesting on that. Again, it's still fairly structured, but maybe I want to ask it, what is your data analytics process?
Similar responses on for a question.
So because these are both, let's see, the question was if there are similar questions on both knowledge bases, does it know which one to pull from? And the answer is that both of these sources are fed into a single knowledge base. And so all of the questions available to it are all in one. So here the question is data analytics, and it has the answers on this side. But if I scroll over, we can still see those earlier IntelliWiki questions are part of this too. And so if a couple of them come in that are very similar and I don't want it to consider one, I might manually go in and edit and remove one of the key value pairs that I don't like. Maybe this response doesn't look as nice to me, and so I want to clean it up a little bit, and then I just instead prioritize the other one.
Does it have question key?
Great question. So does it have ranking and confidence for what it's returning? And the answer is yes, it does. So here, if you remember in my body, I've only asked for one response, and it's a little awkward to parse through, but in here it's given me a confidence score. So here it's 0.48 confident that it's found the right answer for me. And so I might set an additional confidence threshold where maybe I don't trust this bot very much, and only if it's like 7.7 confident, 70%, or however that maps correctly, that I want to actually give it the automated answer. And otherwise, I'll default to the no answer found and then handle it another way. Awesome. So any questions on that? Any more questions? Yeah.
Do you know if it's trying to learn based on your own, your own data set that you provided and the activity and the questions that actually get answered? Is it doing any kind of analysis of those, trying to improve, or is it fairly flat against you?
Let's see. So excellent question. The question is basically that is it improving over time based on the questions that I'm asking it? And the answer is no, because I'm not responding to it at all. I'm not giving it any feedback. And so right now this is a static knowledge base to it. And the method for improving it would be updating that knowledge base after the fact. But nowhere in here do I then post another reply, hey, that answer sucks, give it a -10. Awesome question.
Does it have that capability so you can write back to it?
That's a good question. Thank you. Not a reinforcement learning algorithm. Excellent. Okay. Where else could you guys use this same technology? Maybe outside of an FAQ page. Any ideas?
Waste management can improve their website chatbot.
Waste management can improve their website chatbot. There's some shade here. Sure, they could. Awesome.
Automated responses to
Automated responses to email. It's another great use case for it. Some other things, again, it all falls under the question answering umbrella, but maybe you have an employee handbook at your place of work and it's got a bunch of text in it and it's kind of hard to read through. Maybe you just want a better way to source that. So you could import that in and ask it a natural language question, and it can try and find an answer for you. Another cool place to use it. Okay. We're satisfied with question answering. Cool. Let's hop over to that next bucket, computer vision. So what is computer vision? Similar to question answering. It's another service, pretty easy to deploy. I won't walk through the process, but it's the same thing you spin it up. And the goal of computer vision is that it gives you access to advanced algorithms that can help process images and return information based on what it sees in it. So I can ask for certain things and it'll spit things back. So an example might be optical character recognition, so extracting text out of images. It can also do some more sophisticated image analysis, so like extracting certain objects or faces, or detecting if there is adult content, or perhaps auto-generating text descriptions. There's some more built into it to the spatial analysis, where it can look at a video feed and detect where people are and how they're interacting with each other, and some more spatial stuff. But can it detect deepfakes? That's a good question. I don't think there's a deepfake response score that this one gives that I've seen. There may be more too. There's a lot to Azure, and so there's definitely things that I may have not found yet. Yeah, or it'll be there tomorrow. God. Awesome. So where might I use this? Hopping straight into an example. I'm just gonna display an image that I have. Just what happened to be sitting on my desk at the time when I was writing this. I needed a label. So maybe I have a T here, and I want to know what's on this label. Something simple, but the same thing could be abstracted away to the more interesting or complex example. Like maybe you want to scan items at a store and you don't have barcodes, or maybe you just want to extract text from signs. But keeping it simple, I just have this here, and all I want to know is what text is in this image. And unlike the previous example, I won't try and use a dictionary. We'll just hop right into the right way. But here I'm going to showcase, instead of just using a REST endpoint, there are also the client SDKs available that kind of help out. There's a little bit more to the computer vision one because it's processed asynchronously, and this kind of helps us out a bit by instead using the client library. And here I have the Python version, but there are other languages available too, Java, C, hashtag, I think it's called, or whatever else you guys use. So what I've done is, just like before, I created an endpoint and I'm providing it my subscription key, and then I instantiate a computer vision client after passing those in. So pretty easy so far. And then I just have some helper functions that they read in that initial image. So this image of the T on my desk, it reads it in as binary, and then it sends that binary image stream to the computer vision client via the .readInStream method, and I just ask for a response, and then out of that response I get the location that it gives me back, and then I just keep polling the endpoint until it's done, and then I get the response back after that. And then I have another function to help me parse through that response to make it a little bit more readable. So just hop into seeing it in action. So that drink image path again. I'm gonna run it. Hopefully it works. Good. So it's spit back the text that it found in that image and where in that image it found the text. So a bunch of coordinates, and not super easy to see what these represent. So I have just another little piece in here that's gonna take those labels and the positions in the image, and it's just going to draw it for us so that we can see what's going on. But I wouldn't need this for another application. So, well, of course, my image location is not defined. This is why you don't edit things right before speaking about it. Where am I? Rank. Image path is not defined. Well, this is just embarrassing. Change paths. Liz. Didn't like me. Okay, easy enough fix. Okay, that was embarrassing. So here it's found the text for us, and just as a sanity check, I'm putting it where it found it, and we can see that it did a pretty good job. And kind of cool, it can do like oblique lines too. Instead of just giving 2 points on the bounding box, it'll show us where exactly it found it. And in general, it does pretty good, I'd say. I think this is supposed to be an N in the background, but it's close enough with the H. So, not super exciting, just extracting text from the image, but where might you use that? And any ideas from the audience? Just general text extraction from a picture. Any fun and interesting applications that come to mind? Auto-filling captures, exactly. Getting around the human detection. Perfect use for AI, pretending to be people to help get you through a capture. Awesome. Yeah, and that's about it. There's more stuff too, I'm sure, like do the example, reading traffic signs, reading signs as you're going around. Maybe you want to take a picture of the outside of a business and get the text out of it that way.
That's how to be text clean, or does it also apply to something like reverse image search?
Does it also apply to something like reverse image search, or is it just text? So all that I'm asking it to do here when I call the read in stream is I'm just saying read. So all that this is doing is it's trying to read text that's in it, as opposed to trying to do an image similarity search. There may be other things available for that, but for this particular method that I'm calling, just getting text out. But there are other more interesting things that you can do with it as well. So maybe in the realm of accessibility would be a good place for this to land, but there are other methods that I can have my computer vision client do for me. So instead of just find the text on the screen, I want it to describe the image, which is kind of a hard problem, but oh my goodness. It's still broke. Location, drink image path. So we're supposed to have programmers up here.
So what was the major edit that you had to change the word location of that?
I don't want to talk about it. But let's see. Let's see what it spit back. A bottle of beer. All right, well.
My mouth thought it, but actually, I just drank that bottle.
I'll explain some things. Let's see. So it was close. I'll give it that one. It may not have been trained to find the pure leaf bottles, but like just giving it some credit here. It's a brown bottle of liquid that was there. It could be a bottle of beer. It doesn't know the liquid that's in there. Maybe it's making some better assumptions than I could. Does it think it's an IPA? It must. It might be asking for a bottle of beer.
So like,
yeah, only 40% confidence. That's true. So, let's see. So on this one, I probably shouldn't have separated. So here, on the image caption, it's only spit back one caption for me. I don't know if it would spit back more, if it were more confident in more. I didn't set any thresholds. So here, I think it's just spitting back one, but that's a great segue to my next one, is it can do some image categorization for us. And instead of just having a more natural text description of what it sees, maybe find some tags in it. So some other multiple things that it can find. So here I want to analyze the image. Instead of just describe it, let's analyze the image. And wow, I should do a replace all, but this is more fun. Nice image, strange image path. Yeah. I don't know what I'm using here.
you're really proving your point about Python stuff here.
Yeah, this is great, guys. We should use this. All right. Yeah, good enough. Okay, so it spit back more tags for me that I've asked for. So it's a lot more confident on the beer this time. 80% this time. Well, beer is food. There's a lot of other interesting tags that it spit back. Man, quiet this side. Okay, so it's tagged the image for me, which doesn't sound that cool, but it is really cool. I declare. It's telling me there's text in the image, which isn't as cool, but bottle, drink, glass bottle, indoor food. It's telling me the things that it sees in the image, and now this is giving me a way to automatically look through images and find stuff on them. So let's say that you're building a cool social media app where people upload a bunch of pictures, and you want to categorize those pictures to be similar, or maybe extract the tags from them so you can put them on different pages. Like maybe you want a page that has all the beer on your website, and you can't rely on users to correctly tag the images for you. Well, this can go through it and do it. It can just tag all the images. Cool. Alrighty. Quick question.
Like a specific image categorization thing. Like, let's say that you put it into like sports. You have different kinds of sports, and you wanted to really correctly categorize like your one sport is soccer or football or basketball. Can you help better refine this model for that specific purpose? Okay, so like this, it did a decent job, but it's definitely not a table or floor, and I'd like to be able to better refine. I'm trying to.
Okay, awesome question. The question is, can you refine this model to get better at certain tasks, whether it's recognizing a specific image that maybe only you know about, or that it's just not performing well on, and you want it to get it more application specific? And the answer is kind of. You can't use just this endpoint, but instead you can use the custom vision, which has a pretty easy to use interface where you can tag images, upload them to the service, and then it will train one of these computer vision algorithms on your data. So it's possible. Yes. Custom vision. Yeah.
So is there capability to do something similar with video?
Is there capability to do something similar with video as well? That's a good question. You could always break up the frames in your video into individual images and stream it that way. There are some other services available that are a little bit better for video, I think. Well, even just within computer vision, there's the spatial analysis, which is built to be working on video feeds. It's probably a bit more specific, but I don't think this one would work as well on video feeds. Excellent question.
They're not going to release something where they think that it's going to be very bad at it. So they're still working on that one, I think.
Maybe tomorrow. Okay, awesome. Any other questions? Where might you guys use this? Help me expand my limited imagination away from a beer bottle on my desk. How else would you use this? Can you repeat that?
Hot dog or not a hot dog?
Oh, is this a hot dog identification? That's an excellent use case for it. Maybe.
It's really good for hot dogs, but probably pretty good.
I'm kind of scared. I don't really want to pull it up because I don't know what other images it's going to find. So I'm going to trust you on that one. That would probably be an excellent use case for this. All right. I won't do any adult content filters on it or any of that. Okay.
I think it was meant as a joke.
Understood.
Heresy.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. Kelly.
To help my daughter find
To help your daughter find the missing sock.
that disaster area that is her bed.
To help your daughter find the missing sock in the disaster area that is your bedroom. That's an awesome use case for computer vision. Let's get to that. Something similar to it, at least. Let's move on from the supposed not a beer bottle. Sorry, forgot you're recording. The tea bottle, and get to some obligatory cat pictures. Here's a not my cat that's sitting on the counter, and just as before, I've asked it to just give me the tags in it. So this is my analyze image, and I just want to know what's in this. And so it spit back a bunch of tags for me, and so I can see indoor, great, cat, animal, awesome. Seems to be doing a better job with this one overall. And so fancy name for a cat family, I think genus or something. Let's see. So to the case of the missing sock, what these applications so far might be able to tell you. So let's substitute sock for cat here. I want to know where the cat is in this picture. Well, it knows that there is a cat, and maybe I have a cat detector built in where it's okay if it's at least 80% confident that it sees a cat in a picture, and I know where the camera's pointing, I can say, okay, there's a cat here. But it doesn't quite help me find where that cat is. And so for the case of the missing sock, there's another cool method that we can call, which is instead of just tag images, I want to detect objects in the image. Thank you. Perfect segue. And similar as before, I'm just going to draw the results on it so that we can see it. Probably it's got a path wrong, so we'll see. Oh, okay, perfect. All right, so it's detected the cat, and it tells us where it is. It spit back some coordinates for us. This one, I think, just a bounding box. Yeah, it just tells us the corners. But here we go. We've detected a cat in an image. And now, similar to an earlier question, that this isn't a customized model, so this won't necessarily always recognize the magic sock that it's supposed to find. This is just a generic offering from Microsoft, and it's available at one button press. But if you wanted to expand this out into a custom vision model, you totally could. You just have to train it a bit and a bit more work on your side up front. But if you just want to find generic objects like a cat that it may otherwise easily recognize, a pretty easy way to do it. Where is Waldo? Excellent use case for it too. Beating that.
Just partially abstracted objects. Also, Slack's in a mess. Or difficult. Just
Well, thank you so much. So that's an excellent point. They do have issues with partially obstructed objects. So a sock in a mess, it may not easily be able to pick out. And let's see how it does. So let's say our cat is very clever and it knows about our image detection software, and maybe it's put on a very clever disguise. As you can see, there's nothing drawn on top of it here, so it has not detected our cat. So if the cat is very cleverly disguised, wearing a fuzzy blue squiggle, the algorithm may not find it. Let's follow that thought. See what else it finds. So if the cat just has the eyes hidden, this is a great path. And so, we're getting a 10-minute warning. Thank you. The cat does think it can't be seen, but little does it know. We know what a cat is better than it does, and we may progressively work our way along here. I have a problem with file names, but we'll see. What if it hides the ears too? Still a cat. Interestingly, it gets a little more confident. I think it better outlines the shape of the cat, so the confidence is actually increasing, which is probably not what our cat wants. It's still a cat. It's even more confident that it's a cat.
It's doing what
It is doing.
when it's searching, it's like mirror traces found, there's contrasting colors for the object you're trying to find. Is it more competent in that, or?
That's an excellent question. Yeah, so the question is if the specific attributes of the image have an obvious effect on the performance of the model. So things like whether the image was initially passed in black and white or whether it has better outlines. And the answer is maybe. In the case of the cat ears, it certainly seems to have got more confident. But I'll be honest, I haven't had enough runtime with it to be able to adequately answer your question, I think. I know in custom training models that I've run into, I have had better experience in model performance if you can break the problem into smaller pieces and do some additional filtering onto the images. So I would expect that to be the case, but I don't know if that's the case with this particular model. I don't know how they went about training it efficiently. But back to thank you. Excellent question. Back to the important work of trying to hide the cat, though. Even with a full mask on, it still detects the rest of the cat. So it's pretty good. I don't know. But then the final disguise, if it has a fuzzy sweater on, it doesn't necessarily need to hide its face. Well, a little bit. I was a little lazy with my lines, but that's about as far as it's gotten. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Are there any more questions I might be able to answer? Have I tried blueberry muffin versus dog? I know.
really hard for
This is dog.
yeah.
There's no chance. There's no chance.
You're right, man. Oh no. Little big prop. Models prove the very muffin or dog. Sweet. Let's I mean, yeah, it's a much look like dogs.
They do look like dogs. We're gonna find out.
I'll steer your balls.
All right, someone else gets to pick the file name this time, and you get to remember it. 1. The number 1. Thank you. All right, we'll combine them. Muffin, dog, 1. Oh, sorry. No one understood. Snake scoop. Sorry. Snakes coming. All right. Is that better?
Wait, now it's not the same as your other navy.
What? Well, those are cats. They can have it in. God. Well, okay, we'll have some nice regular expressions, and you get to write them. I'll find it here. All right, and what do we have here? And this was muffin, dog. No, we got rid of asterisk. Oh, come on. Search fail. Oh,
Yeah, it was .jpeg.
the J. Oh, my hair. Was it? JPEG? JPG? We'll try them both. Something will work in. Oh my goodness, what has it found? All right, it's found mammals. Oh, it's a mammal. It failed. I'm sorry. We're eating the dogs tonight. They're all dogs. No.
What is the one talk about? It doesn't really see the nose.
I think it's hungry. That doesn't look anything like a dog. Oh, it didn't find that one. All right, sorry. It's the one below it. I put the label above it. Okay, all right. So it let that one slide, but I'm sorry. These was... Which one? Wait. No, that's a mammal.
Oh.
Thank you. I admit it word.
That dog for
Right up there with dog versus wolf.
wolves were in snow. So I learned that if there's snow in the picture,
No. And that was a... I believe it. I can't tell the difference.
it uses to make sure about wake up.
Ooh. You think waste management can use it to make sure you're not throwing away concrete? That's an excellent question. If they wanted, hypothetically, take all those pictures, maybe it could. I don't know. It might think it's a nice.
Light clear. It's
I'd like to to.
How much would I have to pay to implement this?
How much would you have to pay to implement this to keep your cats off the counter? Well, if you have your fancy image detection algorithm set, and you say, okay, this is maybe this is the countertop, and I want to periodically send images. Again, video feed not so much, but just looking at images, maybe we can look at the pricing tiers. Wow, what a segue. So on the free tier, it gives you 20 calls per minute or 5,000 calls per month. So you'd have to sample it a bit. I don't think you could quite make 60 FPS work out for you. I think that's about, one every 6 minutes or something. So sometimes it could catch some of the cats.
Yeah, my link.
Ooh. Oh, perfect. Well, you can bring it back.
Just send it on.
There you go.
Although it might be more than 5K a month. We'll see.
That's an excellent point, though, that these services are somewhat limited on their own. And really a great way of thinking about them is as building blocks. Like this isn't everything. This doesn't do everything for me. But maybe I could use this somewhere else, like integrate it in pretty easily, I'd say, with something else. Or chain multiple of these together. And when you start doing that, it gets more interesting. Like maybe you have pictures of a sign in a foreign language, and you read the text out of it first, and you translate that text with a different service, and then you read out the translated text. Maybe 3 of them in series, and you can start building some cool stuff with that.
Should you mention the chicken block for people who are interested in learning about something?
Sure, maybe it's the chicken block. Oh, we have, okay, that's another interesting point to bring up. So someone else at Intelitech is even better at this than I am, and he has trained a model. This is a really cool use case. So chickens were invading, I think, his mother's garden, and he wanted to detect when those chickens were coming, and he didn't want to have to rely on a service like this. So he went into, I think he used custom vision to initially train the model, but then he exported the model to just the model file out of it. So he didn't use the hosting here, but he just took the decision-making function basically out of it and put that onto an edge device, so onto an old phone that he had, and had it running constantly all the time. So that's one way to get around these service limits, because a lot of what it's doing here and why the cost can start to increase is because Azure is handling the infrastructure for us. So there's labor costs, there's compute costs, but there are other ways to get around it. And there's some other solutions that Azure has. So maybe you have data residency requirements to where you don't want to send a video stream off of or outside of your building or any other set of data. They provide the containerization service for these too, where you can have the model living within the Docker container, that you can run either locally or in a AKS cluster that you have management over. So and it's the same. It's pretty cool. It's the same APIs that you use to interact with it, same as the web version. It's just hosted locally instead.
And even you can chicken.
Oh, yes. Thank you. The important part, the blog. He wrote. Okay, awesome. Thank you. This has been a lot of fun for me. So thank you so much for participating. That's it. Awesome. Well, I think there are some, I think there's a bridge. Might lean on you.